Hey guys, a quick personal message before this podcast starts. I really apologise for what goes on with the camera. You'll see the camera sliding down into the pocket that was holding it. I noticed it after a few minutes, so stick with me. It's an awesome interview. Anyway, here it is. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast today. Now, it is going to be another special day today, and it's because we have one of the world's best arm wrestlers coming out of North America. He has won so many titles. He's finished very close, incredibly close, on numerous occasions to being the world champion. We're talking about, of course, none other than Justin the Bama Bull Bishop. So let's get Justin on the line. All right, here we go.
What's up, buddy?
Bama Bull, how are you, mate?
I'm good.
Very good. Good stuff, mate. Thank you for coming on the show. How's Alabama treating you at the moment?
It's pretty good. We're just winding down, getting the kids into bed,
Very good.
Long Monday.
Very good, mate. Well, either way, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Justin. For everybody, Justin the Bama Bull Bishop, one of the world's most recognised and established elite arm wrestlers pulling out of North America. Justin, tell me a little bit about yourself, mate. When did you get started in the sport of arm wrestling?
My first competition was March of 2011, and it was in Mobile, I think. So, but it was, I don't know, it was a good experience. It was the first sport. This is the first sport I've actually taken on for multiple years. I shot pool for a year or two, but
Yeah.
we did pretty well, and we got the bug that everybody gets, and we started going to one a month,
Yeah, I
But
definitely agree on that. That it's like a drug. This sport. Once you're in, and you get addicted, and it's pretty hard to leave too. Once you're in, you don't leave this sport. But that's also you and your family are all pretty competitive. Your brother, your dad, all into the sport as well. Who sits on the top of the pecking order in the family?
right now, me.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, if my brother's training, he can get a little bigger than me. He can get up there around 215 or so, and
Yeah.
he's smart. So he's real smart on the table. When he's training with me, I can tell a big difference, in my level of knowledge and power and everything. So it goes up. So
Yeah. And did you guys start all together in the sport? Was it this group thing? Was it something you guys did beforehand, or when did you kind of?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely went on a tear for about 3 years, a little over, probably about 4 years, and like I said, we'd go to 10 or 12 a year easily, and up until till that big tournament where I pulled Yanis, and after that Josh hurt his shoulder a little bit, and
Mm.
Dad got back into drag racing a little bit, but I kept going with it, and but
Awesome.
we went to every major regional competition there was that we could drive to.
Yep. Awesome. Justin, tell me a little bit about that match with Giannis, because that was kind of the defining moment for you arriving in the sport as an international recognized athlete anyway. So it was a UAL event, and you were relatively unknown. How did it go? How did it go down for you?
Prior to the tournament, it had been a big tournament. It was going to pay out like 20 grand and so on. But so I was a little disappointed a week out. But up to that point, man, I trained. I had never taken off from competition more than a month and a half or so. And I took off about 3.5 months from everything but training.
Yeah,
And,
wow.
I was physically in the best shape I had been in to that point. Made a great weight cut, but that was the first time I met Devin and Todd Hutchins and John Brezink. So I was like starstruck, at the weigh-ins and stuff. But I never even heard about Giannis up to that point. But I think I've told you this before, but Devin and Bob Brown was standing to the side trying to figure out who was going to win second or who might, uh, give him a run for his money.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but I think Devin ended up betting 20 on me on that match too against Bob Brown. So,
Ah, there
but
you go. So he knew something. He knew something because when I look at that match, particularly the first round, I don't think Giannis really knew who you were, knew what you were bringing to the table, and you overwhelmed him with your hand and wrist. You really just took away any access that he had to power and got the job done pretty efficiently. How did you feel after that first round with Giannis?
I think the video speaks for itself. I mean, because I had in the back of my mind, everybody was talking about it, and I went to my room that night and done as much research as I could, and but I mean, when I won, I was just thinking to myself, I can't believe y'all thought this guy was gonna beat me. Like I was just, what? I can't believe it, you know. But I mean, because it was easy. I mean, it was as easy as it looked at the
Yeah,
time, and I knew it when he hit into my hand and it didn't move.
yeah.
I just looked at him and shook my head like, no, not today.
Yeah. Now Giannis, I think at the time was obviously a multiple world champion at WAF and had pulled many different things. So naturally, coming up against him in the final when he came back through the B draw, he was going to have something slightly different for you. And I feel like you got it very unlucky. When I watched the video,
Yeah,
it looked like you got a pin.
yeah, it was definitely a pin. I seen it. But I argue with Harold Ryden about that all the time. But I know what I seen. But that and honestly, he didn't come at me any different. I think the third match, he definitely came at me different because
Yeah.
I think he could tell my wrist was blown,
Yep.
and he actually fouled to get the hook on the match that they didn't call a pin for. But that's how it goes. I mean, I've had them go my way before, and honestly, the ratio is pretty much higher for it not going my way. But
Yeah.
it's just part of it.
Hopefully, well, the tide will turn. But Justin, I want to ask you a little bit about your style of arm wrestling and the way you train as well, because so many of your opponents you've overwhelmed in the hand and wrist. Is do you train with a focus on your hand, or do you feel like there's some sort of strength that you've brought from previous parts of your life?
Uh, Probably both. More so, I mean, when we started training for arm wrestling, we didn't know anything. I mean, we were arm wrestling every day.
Yeah,
So, we were trying stuff all the time, much like you do. You trying different stuff, what works for you, what's can improve your weakness. But right off the bat, I could tell, my hand was rather large for the class I was pulling, and it was strong. I just needed to know how to use it, and that's the main thing I tell people is knowledge. But as
yeah,
far as training, I mean, obviously being a carpenter for most of my life, strengthens your hand. But I believe a lot of your power still comes from the fingers, and people don't train that enough.
yeah.
But
Perfect point in case is naturally the super match that you and I had together. It was a case where you allowed your wrist to go back that bit, which in a lot of people's cases would mean an inevitable loss. But because you maintain your fingers and still had plenty of control there, you had all the access you needed. So absolutely, is that something? Is that a tactic that you use on the table against a lot of people, or is that something that is the kind of a fail safe?
well, it definitely is not something I shoot for,
Yeah,
but I mean, I discovered I could do it in a match with Storm Chelino,
yep,
and I actually turned to my dad when I beat him. I mean, because I was a hair from the pin line. My wrist was, in the same position as when you and I pulled, and I just, kind of like said, screw it, he's gonna have to break my arm, and went,
yeah,
and it just drug him straight back over. And I turned to my dad, and I'm like, I just pulled a Todd Hutchins, you know. I'm like,
Yeah,
couldn't believe it.
yeah,
Because honestly, my hook at the time was not that good.
yeah,
I mean, it was good enough to beat Storm because tactically I knew if I could turn him in, he would be so open that I could just drag him pretty easy.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that, that turned out to be the case. But
Well, it's
now, I
interesting.
mean, I try to work it that angle a little bit when it happens in practice.
Yeah,
I just don't give up. I'll work it, and
yeah. Because
find out
it's
different
it's
stuff.
interesting because I know even myself included, and a lot of people who look at the way Todd Hutchings pulled and look at the way we're describing about right now, and think that that's kind of a bad position to be in. But it's actually an incredibly great position. You can still there's still so much torque. There's still so much side pressure access, and you can get to people's biceps, and it's pretty good. I think that it's a great position to pull from. But yeah, like you said, you don't tend to shoot for it, but it's awesome to have in your back pocket. Um,
Well,
for yeah,
I
go.
don't like it because I feel like it puts a tremendous amount of stress on the inner elbow because your wrist is back.
Yeah,
Those tendons are stretched a little bit more. But I agree with you. It shuts off a little bit of your shoulder and side pressure, and I still have full access to mine. And if you can get your elbow, in a situation where it's parallel with your palm or even behind your palm,
yeah,
you got so much more you got so much more a lot more muscle groups going on working versus just their hammer and their forearm,
yeah.
which the forearm's a lot smaller muscle too. It's going to burn out a little quicker than your pec and your shoulder.
That's it. Now, Justin, I want to talk about the WAL and I think it's you and Matt Mask, is it, that have taken more seconds than anybody else in the
Yeah,
WAL? So
yeah, I'm almost certain of that.
yeah, so you've had what, Giannis, you've had Katowski, you've had Talbot, all pip you at the post on a couple of occasions, left and right. What's the story, man? What is it going to take for you to get past these guys on the big show?
I thought I had Paul figured out, especially when I beat Todd and then I beat Frode, and the way I done it too, I was like, holy shit, nobody's beating this today. You know, I even looked at Paul a couple times like, yeah, today is your day, especially when Danny beat him. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, you're screwed today.
yeah,
I'm gonna nod my head at you today. But now it turned out, and I think it fell out to benefit him a little bit more, which I think he'd have still probably beat me because he honestly felt that strong that day, and he's also a smart arm wrestler.
yep,
He noticed when I was trying to wait him out, and then he waited. So, but when he got beat by Danny, he ended up being on the B side, and he ended up pulling everybody that I had pulled right after I pulled him.
yeah. Okay,
And
gotcha.
not to say that
Yep,
not to say that any of my matches were long, but you know,
yeah. Yeah, it's
much.
interesting that the rivalry between you and Paul does seem to be pretty long lasting. Who's been the more difficult opponent to sort of try to map a victory towards? Is it Paul or Giannis?
Difficulty probably about the same, honestly, but it's more aggravating when when you know you're stronger than a guy
Yeah,
and he still beats you. You know what I mean?
yeah, okay,
Because I
yeah,
know my hand's stronger than Giannis. I know that my arm is stronger than his. It's just when they say go, it's not on a 50-50 scale anymore. I'm starting out with 30-70 or something close to that.
yeah, gotcha, gotcha.
And even the last match, when he had my wrist, and he could tell I couldn't go, and I could tell he was looking at me smiling, and I nod my head at him like go, and he goes, and he couldn't move my arm, you
Yep,
know, and I'm like, man, if I'd have just had a half inch in my wrist right now, you know,
yeah.
but
Justin, tell me about the WAL. Obviously there's nothing official yet, but the grapevine's talking, saying that the WAL is coming back. It might be a super match format. Who knows what it will actually be? But will we see the Bama Bull pulling in the WAL? Should it come back?
hopefully, I'm gonna be there. As long as they're putting out the kind of money they were, I'm gonna be there. And I don't do it just for the money, but it's if I can pay my way, cover my cost, and break even, I'm there. I'm one of the few that's anytime, anywhere, any place,
Yeah, go.
any weight.
Yeah,
You know.
and I know that Devon said the other week with me that WAL, without giving away anything official, it's going to be bigger than it's ever been before. So let's hope Devon's right in that respect, and that means that people like yourself can not only potentially be broken even, but walking away with a decent profit as well. So that'd be amazing. But you have pulled many super matches, like you said there, and you're not worried about what weight people what weight your opponent's at. Is that something that links into a particular goal within the sport, or how does that sit with you?
Well, I'm not into cutting weight these days, to be honest. Both my kids are getting a little older. It's much harder, you know. I mean, getting a little older too, and it tends to wear on my joints more than anything, to be honest. I mean, my right arm is probably 60-70% at best. You know, my left arm feels great, but I was just getting it to feeling good before I come to Australia,
Yep.
and when I come back from there, it just was a train wreck. So,
Yeah. Okay.
but I had new injuries on top of the old ones, so
Yeah. Yeah.
and
For sure.
they haven't went away yet. But you know, I'm I'm pretty sure they're doing a super mat format from what I've gathered,
Yep.
which in my opinion is the best way to go for an audience, because it's hard to follow a tournament, and it's hard to promote a tournament when you don't know who's going to be in the finals.
That's true.
When you got 30 guys to choose from to root for versus 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
But
you've taken super matches with people a lot heavier than you in the past, and you're not one to hesitate on that. I know that we've had discussions before about your goals in the sport, and do you want to be remembered? Like, I think already you're remembered as a lightweight elite for sure. Um, do you want to go down the path of being an open weight elite? Is that the long term goal?
it's definitely, I want to go as far as my arms will let me go, and my arms and my wallet.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to go down as one of the best to ever arm wrestle. And that's one reason I don't worry about weight, because I mean, Devin and John have proven, that you don't have to be the strongest in the room.
Yeah.
As long as you're the most intelligent and you're up there in strength, as long as you're faster, smarter, and stronger. If you got 2 of those out of the 3, you're good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more, because so many people think that arm wrestling is a strength sport, but to me, a strength sport is a human against an object that's the same every time. Where we're in a combat sport, everything you do as an arm wrestler affects me as your opponent, and vice versa. So yeah, it's so much more to it than just simply being brute strength. And yeah, as you say, John and Devon are great examples of that. And I think when I observe your arm wrestling, like, I know that I see you as somebody who takes away people's access to power more often than not. And it's not that you don't have the ability to go in there and just outmuscle someone, but it's about winning efficiency, and I think you do it really well.
Exactly. And I appreciate it. I try to be like water and take the easiest route.
Yeah.
I try to get my money, slam everybody, look good, and go home. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. But another note, that's one reason I do take a lot of matches that are, a lot of matches I probably shouldn't have took. But it's, because I want to watch that video and get excited about it.
Yeah.
I want other people to watch that video and get excited about it. But
For sure.
and I think the way, from what I've heard about the WAL, though, that's what they're looking for. And that's why I hadn't heard anything about weight, I believe.
Yep. Well,
Is
yeah. Well, that'll be exciting. No doubt it's going to come soon. I think that the official announcement will come hopefully any day now, because we've been hearing whispers about it for a few months now. So it'll be exciting for the world of arm wrestling, no doubt, and to see the Bama Bull pulling in there again in an open weight would be amazing. What's the heaviest you've ever been at, Justin?
I only go on morning weight most of the time. That's about the only time I weigh.
Yep.
Probably, I think I hit 201 one time,
Yep.
and I think it's because I stayed up late eating Huddle House. But you know,
Yeah. All
so
good.
I mean, I was averaging about 197, And honestly, at that weight, I feel strong as hell, but man, it's a bitch trying to lean over and tie your shoe.
Yeah.
You know.
And you start getting short on breath and all sorts of stuff. You start thinking, what's going on?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Justin, thank you very much for coming on the show today, mate. Really appreciate your time to tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, how you train, and who your opponents have been and that sort of stuff. So, mate, all the best with the WAL should that surface this year for you, and no doubt we'll be watching.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother, and I appreciate everything you're doing for the sport, and keep doing it, brother.
Thank you very much, mate. All right, take care.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, there it was, Justin the Bama Bull Bishop pulling out of Alabama. Not only a fantastic arm wrestler, but an absolutely stand-up guy as well. So I had the pleasure of having a super match with Justin Bishop in October of 2017. He came and stayed at my place, and really can't say anything negative about the guy. He is absolutely a legend. So thank you guys for watching. It'd be awesome if you could hit the like and the share button. Sorry about the camera moving, all that sort of stuff during the recording, but it's all good. We'll iron those things out as we go. But yeah, thanks guys. See you next time.